Gallup, how are you, sir?
What's happening? What's going on?
What's going on? Nothing much over here, sir. You know, I thought about going like completely all out. I thought about having the Versace shades on. I thought about coming on in a robe. I thought about coming on with like a superhero cape or something because we finally are here.
Yep,
We
we're here.
have-
It's going to be Kevin McGonigal is going to win American League Rookie of the Year.
Oh yeah, that's what we're here
going
for.
to be finalized. Everyone needs to get ready. Shout out the jersey. That's right. That's what we were waiting for.
That's what we're waiting for. That's not what
Kevin
I was thinking
McGonigal,
of.
my lover.
It's not what I was thinking of. That is facts, by the way. You do have evidence of that being true as well. But football is officially here.
Yeah, I guess that too.
We will get to it. We have week 0 picks. We'll wrap the show up with that. We have other things to talk about. We have NFL. We're going to start off in the NFC side of things. We're going to do floor and ceilings for each NFC team. We have some other stuff to cover. Maybe potentially modify some takes we've had on this show throughout this off season, as we call it. But before we get into all of that today, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching us here on YouTube, and hit that push notification bell to stay up to date on all new videos. Within the last month, around 98% of you who have seen our YouTube channel are not subscribed. So we would gratefully appreciate your love and support. If you subscribe, send this to other people you know, your friends, your enemies, your neighbors, your family.
Anybody.
Everyone who subscribes to this channel is family.
Your cousins.
Your cousins, your second cousins, or third cousins, or sixth cousins, your aunties, your great nephews.
Hey, if you're listening from Alabama, your lover, who's also your cousin, too.
Some might be named Kevin McGonigal as well.
Oh, man.
Follow us on Instagram.
I do love me some Kevin.
Follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, all at Ball N Beatz Media as well. If you're also listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us a follow and a star rating. Before we get into all college football, before we get into any of that, Spencer, let's go and talk about, first of all, I feel like we have to address a little bit of the elephant in the room, even though I posted a video about it already. And of course, I think we need to start off just a tad about it right here before we get into our breakdowns, our floor and ceilings. Deshaun Watson's the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback this year.
P. Diddy,
at least to start the year. P. Diddy is back? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You know, I mean, that was the whole scenario. We knew that this was what was going to happen. We talked about it for a while, and I kind of went out there and I said, Cleveland, unless you make him a healthy and active, you have to completely just wring out that towel. It may be soaking wet, but you got to wring it all out. You're paying the man $230 million, fully guaranteed. His cap hit is what it is. It doesn't matter how you slice it. The dead cap that's coming in 27 and 28, I think it's 87 million, 86 million. I don't know the rough number of a cap hit that it will be the next 2 years. You could potentially move it all to 1 year if you really wanted to and eat it all. But it was a money thing anyway. Todd Monken didn't make this decision. Jimmy Haslam made this decision. Was there moments that Watson maybe looked like the better quarterback too? Potentially, for sure.
Maybe
in practice.
Obviously he's not going to be good, but maybe he's okay. Maybe he's serviceable. Because if you think about it, every year he's been in Cleveland, there's either been an injury issue with him or something's been happening. He's got a lot of cloud around him, and now he's got the fan base against him, and he knows it. Maybe Deshaun Watson balls out and gets a second contract. Never know.
Second contract? What is it going to be? What is it going to be? A 1 year, $1 million deal? It's going to have to be like a vet minimum.
That's right. He can mentor. Whoever they draft next year.
Whoever they draft in the first round. Yeah, I mean they got 2 picks to pick it. We'll see. Who knows? Knowing Cleveland, they'll take Justin Gilbert again in the first round. But
the Browns had to do this, and it's a but it doesn't. It still means this is one of the worst trades in NFL history. And I just don't think it's particularly close. I mean, the Texans got
Yeah.
so much in those draft picks, including trading up to get Will Anderson Jr. with the Browns draft pick. Um, but they took a risk. Jimmy Haslam took a risk. He took a swing, and he swung out of his shoes, twisted his ankle, and fell on his face. And it was a fastball right down the middle. This was a massive miss by Cleveland, and
Yeah.
it's one that this was one of the first things we ever talked about on Ball and Beats
Yes, it
was when the
was.
Browns made this trade. And you were, I mean, I would say a good amount of Browns fans were like, okay, this is something. This is a gonna either be a massive upside move, or it's gonna fall back and hit us in the face, and it hits you in the face. The things like this happen. Um, do I think Deshaun Watson's a good quarterback? No, I think he sucks. He's terrible. Um, but I think he can be serviceable for what the Browns need, which is losing. You want to lose this year, and you want to lose a lot because this is the quarterback class to lose for. Um, and I think that the Browns are set up to where they have a good young roster. They have pieces on the offense, they have pieces on the defense, and I like a lot of these guys. I really think Harold Fannin Jr. is going to be a top tight end in this league. I think their wide receivers core with the draft they had with KC Concepcion and Denzel Boston, one of those guys is going to have 1,000 receiving yards. I just have a feeling, whichever one it decides to be, I think both are going to be good. And then on defense, you have the defensive rookie of the year in Carson Schlesinger. You have Grant Delpit, who's still young. I mean, and Denzel Ward, who, yes, is hurt a lot, but when healthy, he's one of the best corners in the league. Do I think this is a good team? No. But the only reason I don't think they're good is because of the quarterback situation. If this team had Baker Mayfield, they could be a playoff team. Like legitimately, they could fight for a playoff spot if they had a above average quarterback, maybe even serviceable. The Browns are asking Deshaun Watson to be serviceable. I just don't see a world where he is. Now he might surprise people. He might be okay. Give him 24 touchdowns, you know, 11, 12 interceptions.
For Cleveland, that's even better than
That's a pretty
serviceable.
good year for a Cleveland Browns quarterback. And you're going to get everything you can out of him because this is his last year, no matter what. And then after that, they move on. They draft the quarterback of the future, and you move on. And the Browns' future is bright. I really don't. I see this season as a year where Browns fans watch for your players. Like, watch KC Concepcion, watch Denzel Boston, watch Harold Fannin Jr., watch Quinshawn Judkins, watch these young guys ascend. Which ones are going to be the guys for your team when you finally draft your quarterback? And maybe for the billionth time, this quarterback will be the one that works. And then on defense, I mean, I really like their defensive line. I know their edge opposite of Jared Verse isn't great, but Mason Graham and Jared Verse are two really, really good young pieces. Mason Graham made Myles Garrett better, and Myles Garrett made Mason Graham better, and he was a rookie. I mean, Mason Graham was phenomenal last year. And then you have Carson
Way better
Schlesinger, who's
than
going to
people
man
out
your
there.
linebackers room. Your
Yeah.
cornerback duo, you need to find someone opposite of Denzel Ward. But when you find that, it's going to be great. And then you have Emmanuel McNeil Warren, the Toledo guy, who's going to be back there with Grant Delpit. I mean, this team has players to look out for. And I would ask Browns fans, don't look at the final score. Don't look at Deshaun Watson. Don't look at that. Look at the players that you want to ascend. Look at your rookies, look at your second year players, and have them take that step. I did the same thing with the Lions in early on in Dan Campbell's when they were 3-13-1. I just was looking for any bit of hope to watch out for this team to see, is this team going to have any sort of future? And Amon-Ra St. Brown blossomed, and you had Derek Barnes blossom in the backfield.
Yep.
You had Kirby Joseph. I mean, they had players who you could see on the field who were making plays. When they went 9-8, the same thing. You had Jack Campbell in the 23 draft, Brian Branch. They had all these rookies that the Lions built their core around. The Browns it's giving me the same vibes. The only difference is the Lions had a quarterback and they have one. The Browns don't. They need to draft that guy. And we've said it a billion times. This has to be the biggest decision in Browns history coming up soon in this first round. They have to hit. This quarterback has to hit, because if it doesn't, it ruins the core of the team. This Browns team is building up a
Yes.
core of players that I really like, and I'm sure you really like as well. They need to hit on this quarterback, dude. Like, you have to have a serviceable quarterback to ascend. The entire team ascends with the quarterback. If the quarterback play is good, the entire team's going to play better. If the quarterback play is terrible, the entire team's going to take a step down. If the Browns hit to this, I can see them making the playoffs next year with a rookie quarterback. Who's that going to be? Is it going to be, you can talk about the quarterbacks and all that stuff to begin with. And I do think they still need some help on the offensive line. But
On the right side specifically, I think
other
the
than
left
that,
side
dude, it's like,
pretty decent.
I really like these pieces. I like the way the Browns are trending. It's just going to be the same thing that has plagued the Cleveland Browns since day one, getting the
Yes.
quarterback right. So,
Yes, for sure. But I just think we have to discuss. Obviously, we said it felt like this was always going to be the outcome, but we didn't know about the wrinkle in it all on Saturday that transpired, with Deshaun Watson pretty much just airing out the laundry of, yeah, all of this is getting to me. Everything that has transpired. Your booze, it's not even about my play. It's personal reasons, which is definitely not fully accurate, by the way. In fact, I would argue, regardless of what happened off the field, regardless of that, I have a good feeling, specifically in a city like Cleveland, if you were playing good and the Browns were doing well, they were successful with you, you're giving them good play on the football field, I can almost guarantee you it wouldn't be for personal reasons. I can almost guarantee you they would not be booing, they'd be cheering your name, regardless of anything that happened off the field. And like you said, this was one of the very first topics that we discussed back then when we first started Ball and Beatz podcast at the time, in just a little corner room in the University of Toledo recording studios. But then I was excited as a Browns fan. I was excited because of what we had seen.
yeah.
What we had seen in Houston was borderline, you could argue, top 5 quarterback play out of Deshaun. When you have everything that he has gone through off the field, adding on to the fact of lack of on the field for almost 2 years before he even plays again in Cleveland, and then his injuries, which it's a lot. No matter what, negative or positive, and maybe for some folks they would say warranted, if you will, this is what's going to be the outcome. It just is. You're just not going to play that good. And I don't think, when Cleveland made the decision, I don't think in 5 years they would have expected him to play 19 games.
Yeah.
Collectively. And that's just what happened. Jimmy Haslam, and I love your analogy. That was one of your best analogies on our show ever. What was it? You were like, he swung, or Jimmy Haslam swung, and
He swung out of his shoes.
swung out of his shoes.
He tore his ACL and fell on his face.
Fell on his face, and it was a fast ball down the middle.
No, yeah.
That was great. I love it. That's exactly what happened. And it's crazy to me that even after what he said back in March of 2025, he said he swung and missed with Deshaun. He said it was a swing and a miss. But yet you still make that decision, even with the money that he's owed, that you still play him anyway. You still play him anyway.
See, that's something like, you don't start a guy after you say that.
You don't.
It's basically saying he's a failure. Like, this entire thing was a failure, and then now you're trotting him back out there. In week 3, I truly believe Browns fans are going to boo. I think that when they announce the starters and the offense takes, everyone's going to get cheered, and then they're going to announce Watson. The entire stadium is going to boo the hell out of him. And I don't blame Browns fans. I mean, it's yeah, I mean, he hasn't been healthy and he's been bad when, he has been healthy. It's just like he just wasn't the guy. It just didn't turn out the way you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
He hasn't been the same since that was it 2020 or 2021 season in Houston when he threw for I think almost 40 touchdowns. I mean,
Yes.
it was a swing and a miss.
4,000
Simple as
yards,
that.
and it's crazy because his best season in the
Do,
NFL was Houston's worst season they had with him.
do you think Browns fans would have been or felt better about themselves, or it would not have like been the worst trade of all time if Baker Mayfield didn't turn out to be pretty good in Tampa Bay? Like if he went to Tampa Bay and sucked and like
Well,
this been done and
well,
Baker
see, the
Mayfield's good.
beautiful thing about that anyway is it took Baker Mayfield 3 teams after Cleveland for it to happen. Obviously, in hindsight, now it definitely does add a little bit more to it. But you got to remember he was in Carolina. It did not work at all. He went to the Rams. It was okay. He had the one game, the comeback game there, and that was good. But it took him to his third team post Cleveland to really find his groove again. And at the time, right now we've talked about Tampa. Like, could this be the last year? We're kind of juggling with it right now, but
Yeah.
it's been very good. We've seen peak Baker Mayfield again in Tampa, and yeah, it definitely does add a little bit more salt to the wound for sure. And I, in hindsight, and kind of looking back on just the overall time frame of everything, I do believe, as a Browns fan, even though we do reporting, we do everything, but Browns fan, hindsight, I do believe more so, and I was someone who was more of a Kevin Stefanski supporter for a long time. I think in hindsight, Kevin Stefanski deserves a little bit more of the blame, specifically when it comes to quarterback situation. I really do. Because it was very apparent, it is very apparent that those two never got along. That has become very, very clear, crystal clear, based off of the way Baker has talked, based off the way that Kevin never really, you know, if he gets asked any questions about him, he just kind of shrugs it off. That's just Kevin Stefanski anyway, but he shrugs it off completely. That's just his mentality. And I definitely believe that if Baker Mayfield was in Cleveland, if you just sit him, if you just sit him with that shoulder injury, just don't play him. He shouldn't have played. That's partially Baker's fault. He did play through it, but just write it out. Just write it
Yeah.
out. And I'm going to say this too. Even though we are media, there is not a town or a city or a village or an unincorporated community with media that is harsher and rough on an organization quite like Cleveland media is, specifically with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
They are ruthless and do not help by any stretch of the imagination.
It's because
And
of
I
the
can
history.
tell you Monday in Cleveland, really just even Saturday, Sunday, Monday was an absolute field day for some of those radio hosts in Northeast Ohio.
Mhm.
Absolutely. They were frothing at the mouth for some kind of content like that, and they got it for sure. But the thing is with Shadur Sanders, right? If you throw out Shadur Sanders, I think everyone is just like, okay, yeah, we already kind of know, oh, we suck. But if it's Shadur, let's see. If it's a year and he doesn't play well, great. Then we know we still got to look for one. But if he plays well, then it's like, oh, we got our quarterback potentially. Maybe we don't need to ask. We don't need to answer that question in the draft. Maybe we could go a different way with our 2 first-round picks, and all is well. But Deshaun's just not in the future cards. You just know he isn't.
Yep.
What if we get to week 3, which is the home opener, and Todd Monken's like, you know what? Yeah, we just won't play Deshaun. We'll just play Shadur Sanders. Then it's like obvious who really who made this call. I
Yeah.
I I, I think Todd Monken has handled this situation as about as good as he could. There's nothing else he can really do because Cleveland, out of all of the organizations in the NFL, you just know that the one who really calls the shots. Now, there's just some organizations like this anyway, like Dallas or historically speaking, the Jets have had,
Where the GM is like, yeah, no, you're not gonna be listened to.
yeah, where it's really the owner who makes all the decisions,
Yep.
specifically the most important ones. You can tell in Cleveland when a decision was an Andrew Berry decision and when it's a Jimmy Haslam decision. Because if it's an Andrew Berry decision, things have kind of worked out.
Yep.
But when the owner steps in, and a specifically compulsive owner who steps in and he wants, I gotta give Jimmy Haslam credit in certain ways because he's not scared to pay. In a industry where you have certain teams who are never willing to keep their guys or pay their players, Jimmy Haslam is definitely willing to pay those guys. Now, should you fully guarantee someone who has 27 sexual assault charges a
Probably.
5-year fully guaranteed deal? Probably not, But you made that decision. You made that decision, and in hindsight, I can judge it as much as I want. Was there a bit of excitement at the time because of his overall play? There was. But it was a failure. It was a failure. And Cleveland is stuck regardless. Like I said, I think it's 86 or 87 million dollar cap hit over the course of 27 and 28. I do believe Cleveland theoretically could make that all go after one offseason if they really wanted to. Now, that just means in free agency they might not be able to do absolutely nothing for 27 and maybe just focus on the draft, but this is the draft to do so. At least it appears that way right now. Yeah. And Cleveland, we'll discuss you further next week. We need to cut you off here because I don't want to lose my temper too much. Let's get into floor and ceilings here of the NFC. Since we're talking about a team in the AFC North, how about we just start with the NFC North? Your beloved Detroit Lions division in floor and ceiling. Let's just start because I believe, who do you have finishing last? Let's start with who we will have last in each division.
Okay. I have the Vikings finishing last. I have Minnesota at 7-10.
Okay.
I think their floor is probably like that 6-11, 7-10 range. Their ceiling is 10-7, and that's if Kyler Murray like steps back the clock and has a really good year.
Okay.
Like turns back into 2019, 2020 Arizona Cardinals Kyler Murray, where he's running the ball, he's passing it down the field, and having guys wide open.
Right. Yep, I agree.
I don't see it. I know people are like Kyler Murray, won the job over JJ. Dude, it's like winning a race against a guy in crutches. Like JJ is just a bum. He sucks. And my, that hurts me to say JJ McCarthy, who all he did was hand the ball off in college, is terrible in the NFL. Oh no. Oh well.
I don't know if you saw, but there's reports that he might not even be second string. There's potential that he might not even
Max
be the second
Brosmer still there?
I think Brosmer.
Max Brosmer the backup? He beat my Lions on Christmas Day.
I don't think it's Brosmer. Let me double check here because I had seen it, but I am forgetting off the top of my head who it is. I think it's Carson Wentz. There is Max Brosmer still there. He would be fourth on the depth chart. But Carson Wentz might be the actual backup in Minnesota ahead of JJ McCarthy. Does JJ McCarthy get moved? Yeah. Does he get moved this off or just during the season? I wouldn't be shocked. Heck, why doesn't he come to Cleveland, huh? Cleveland might need a quarterback.
Honestly, like a team who needs a quarterback and just take a flyer. Like Arizona is one, the Jets, the Browns, like just a team that needs a quarterback to fill in because maybe he becomes something and you don't have to draft a quarterback. But I don't see that happening. He sucks. He can't read a defense. He had a couple good plays, last season. But other than that, he had a lot of bad ones and a lot of missed throws. He just beats the Lions because he wins in Michigan. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I have the Vikings at finishing 7-10.
Okay, I have the Vikings as well in last place. I had them finishing 6-11 in my preseason prediction. All the videos I had posted out here on Ball N Beatz Media. Like I said, go follow that page on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram. We greatly appreciate it. My ceiling for them, simply because I do think still There's enough skill offensively that I do like outside of quarterback, obviously, because I'm not really high on Kyler, but he was clearly going to be the starter. And defensively, I do think there's some questions more than others want to think. Like, how good will Caleb Banks be his rookie year at D tackle? I feel like
Yeah.
he is one of those rookies that people are just overlooking because he was picked what you would quote unquote say higher than what you were expecting. But he might be one of the best defensive rookies when it's all said and done at the end of the year. But will Dallas Turner take that step? How good will this secondary be this year? You had to trade away Jonathan Grenard in the offseason, so I don't know. I feel like my ceiling would still be a winning record. It would be 9-8, but nothing higher than 9-8. But the floor, I think could even be. I think the floor would be pretty bad. I think it would be like 4-13, 4-13, 3-14. I think realistic is where I have them in that 6-11. I agree with you, 6-11, 7-10 range. So Vikings there. How about your third place NFC North? I feel like
I
we agree.
have the Green Bay Packers in third place, finishing at 9-8 in the NFC North. Floor for me, probably I'm gonna put them right with the Vikings at 7-10. I don't think the Packers are bad because they're not. They're not. 7-10 is like, yeah, you had, the one thing I will say is Micah Parsons is going to be out for at least the first 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That's going to affect them. And then I don't think he's going to be, right off the bat, like, back to prime Micah Parsons. It might take him a week or two to get back into things, and especially with practices. My ceiling for them is 11-6. Because I do think they are still a good team. And I believe that if Micah Parsons comes back, their schedule without him is very light. They should win, if not the first 4 weeks. They should win at least 2 of those games. And because I believe they start the season out at Minnesota, so that'll be a big game for both teams to start out the year.
Yeah.
But Jordan Love, obviously, a very polarizing figure in the NFL. Is he really good? Is he gonna be an MVP quarterback, or is he just an average quarterback? Nobody knows.
Right? He
Is
is
the
like
whole
that prototypical one that it's like you have these expectations and he has those moments, but then you have a game or two in a row where it's like,
where he
huh?
does the most stupid things, like in that Rams game, like a year or two ago, where he was running backwards and he just tried to throw in the ball out of bounds and ended up getting picked off by the Rams and
Yep.
into the end zone. And the same thing happened a couple years ago at Lambeau when they played Detroit and Kirby Joseph picked him off and took it back to the end zone. He just has really bonehead plays. With the game against the Browns last year, perfect example. That
Yes.
throw should never been made.
Yes.
And he made it, and that basically let the Browns win that football game because it gave them life. And the Browns also weren't really scoring much, but they were down in the red zone. It's the defense obviously is having. It's going to be interesting to see how the defense plays now, because without Micah Parsons, they're going to have guys like Xavier McKinney, step up, and he's a very good player, and I'm sure he will. That D line is going to be interesting to see who steps up. I know Van Ness is a guy that I'm going to be looking out for.
He has to step up
Defensive
definitely
line,
this year.
he
Him and
has to he has to
oh,
be that guy, because Rashawn Gary's gone, so he's going to be the guy opposite of Micah Parsons when he's back, and right now he's the guy. The first round pick from a couple years ago. Um, and then obviously, like with the offense, they need a receiver to step up. They need one of these guys to be a wide receiver one. This thing with the Packers of having a bunch of wide receiver twos who catch like 500-600 yards a year, and they have like 2 or 3 of them. Like they need a guy to get over 1,000 receiving yards. They need their Devontae Adams back. They need their star player. They need their Jordy Nelson. Like they need something. And right now, like if I had to guess, I think Golden's gonna have a big year. I think Golden's really gonna come into his own. Jaden Reed, I just don't have much faith in, even though he like started out the year really hot and then he just flatlined after that.
Yeah. I feel
And
like that's
obviously
him every year.
they don't have Romeo Dobbs anymore.
Dobbs
Uh,
and Wicks are both out the door, but you
yeah,
still have Christian Watson. He got the payday this offseason.
yep.
He's a guy if
He
he
just
could
can't
just
stay
play,
healthy.
yeah, if he could just play more than like 10 games a season, maybe he would be like a legit wide receiver one. The problem is, has he ever played more than 10 games a season? I don't really
Exactly,
know.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, I agree with you. I had posted that I feel like Matthew Golden is a legit breakout candidate this season. And I agree. I have Green Bay as well finishing third. I have them finishing as well with the exact same record of 9-8. I do think their floor is actually not that much lower. I think it would be 8-9 because I do
They're
think the
not
pieces.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not a bad team at all. This offense is going to be pretty good. Just how good will it be? Will Jordan Love, you know, will Jordan Love be lovely?
LaFleur's
You
gonna
know,
be one guy I'm gonna watch out for because if the Packers have another disappointing year, he I mean, he's already his seat's warm.
it
It's
is
not hot, but it's warm. It's on the first, when you got a car heater, you got the three levels and then the dots. It's on one. It's on the first one. It's somewhat toasty, but it's comfortable.
right.
If they have another year where they don't make the playoffs, or if it's a disappointing year and they finish third in the North, I mean, they might be at three because even Packers fan like Aaron, I feel like Aaron hates this guy.
He has to, right?
Every time I talk to him, he like hates everything about Matt LaFleur.
I think he also just hates how their defensive coaching has been. Just well, it's definitely improved now, but it was not good for
That'll
a
be
period
another
of
thing to
time.
watch out for too, with Jeff Halfley being out. Now as the head coach of Miami.
Right, for sure.
Shout
Their
out the old Ohio
ceiling,
State defensive coordinator.
their ceiling I have is 11-6 as well because of just how good they can be, specifically with Micah Parsons on the football field. His presence definitely gives them 2 wins that they just wouldn't have before. So I do like Green Bay a lot. Let's go to our second place.
In second place, I have the Chicago Bears at 10-7. My floor for the Bears is 8-9. My ceiling for the Bears is 13-4. I think the Bears can have an unbelievable year if everything goes right. If Caleb Williams and I believe his wide receiver one will be Roma Dunze, have that connection that I think you saw flashes of it last year. If they can have that type of connection where it goes up a level with year two under the Ben Johnson offense, same with Colston Loveland, who had a really good rookie year. Um, I like this Bears offense. It's not the offense that the Bears, it's the defense. The defense worries me because their safeties, they're not good. Like their big acquisition of the offseason on that defensive side of the ball was Kobe Bryant from the Seahawks, and he's out.
Yeah.
So, and he was a safety. They let Kevin Byard go and they let Jaquan Brisker go. Both their starting safeties. So that's going to be a big hole to cover. Corner, they have Jalen Johnson. They'll be fine. And defensive line is another big issue. I think Montez Sweat's fine. I think he's good. Grady Jarrett, he's old. Um,
Prime
but
Grady
like
Jarrett's very good. I do want to say, don't forget that Dylan Thieneman is in there. We'll see how he is as a rookie at
that's true.
safety.
That's true. Yeah,
Um,
and he'll probably start. Um, that is true. Um, it's their defense that worries me. I think their offense is going to be one of the best in the NFL. I fully trust Ben Johnson. I did when he was my coordinator, and I would trust him if I was a Bears fan. Um, I think 10-7, right in the. I they went what? Did they? How many games did they win? 11-6. Yeah, they went
yeah,
11-6 last year. I say they did take one game down and go 10-7. The North is going to annihilate each other this year. Um,
fair.
like it's gonna be a bloodbath. These teams beat up on each other every year. So the Bears won the North last year with a losing record in the North. They were 2-4 in the NFC North and they won. So
Is it
yeah,
the new black and blue division, the NFC North?
it has been. It's like when I think black, it's going to be the AFC North. Because the AFC North is the most unpredictable division in all of football. Like the Steelers could go to Baltimore and beat the Ravens, and then the Steelers could then play the Browns at home and lose by 20. Like, nobody knows what's going to happen.
To be fair, I think the
Um,
Browns can beat anybody if they play in Cleveland, but the second they
yeah,
leave Cleveland, they usually get just decapitated, and it's not even a question. But I don't know. Yeah, I feel like with I think Cincinnati, if they're just healthy, if Joe Burrow can be alive by week 5, Cincinnati makes it even more
the biggest
unpredictable.
wild card in the NFL is the Bengals. Like the Bengals could go 7-10, or they could go 14-3. Like, they could just absolutely pop off if everything goes right.
Maybe they
So
will this year. Have them in the Super Bowl. Have them in the Super Bowl.
that's a little
My
crazy.
my number 2 is the Detroit Lions. I don't have them winning their NFC North, as we've already kind of discussed. My prediction
North
is
runs through the D.
11-6. I do have the floor a little bit more elevated than I will for my number 1 team for sure. I think with the easiest schedule in pretty much all of the NFL, if I'm not mistaken, this year. Uh, I think that Detroit is just too good. I think Detroit's having a winning record regardless this year with the roster that they have. My floor will be 10-7. 10-7 floor and ceiling 13-4. I just think that Detroit is just too good as a roster. I do think there will be a couple slip ups. I think they have maybe 1 or 2 teams on the schedule to not necessarily overlook, specifically that week 1 game, depending on how everything works out with the New Orleans Saints, of course.
The
I
Saints are
think it could
like
be a hot
beating
start.
themselves up, though. So that's
Isn't
the
it,
thing.
but the thing is,
They're like
Spencer,
beating themselves up.
isn't everybody beating themselves up though?
That's true. This has
Almost
been this has been a training camp of nothing but hospital beds.
doom and despair. It's like
Yeah,
everyone's got an electrical substation right next to their training facility
everyone's
right
the
now.
Niners. Yeah,
Mike Evans has had 5 injuries this offseason, by the way. 5.
I'm not touching him with a 10-foot pole in fantasy. I can't.
It's
I can't.
insane. Insane. Spencer, number 1 in the NFC North.
Number
Let's try
one
and
is
quickly
the
go through
team
this.
right there, baby. It is America's team. It's the best team in the NFL. Your favorite team, the Detroit Lions. We have the exact same thing, floor, ceiling, and record.
Oh, wow.
I have them at 11-6. I think 11-6 is like a perfect medium for them. I think their floor was 10-7, and I think their ceiling's 13-4. Now, like I said, or like you said, I should say, they have a very easy schedule. I mean, their toughest game is probably going to be their games in the North and on the road, or even at home. In the North, it doesn't matter. But at Buffalo as well. They open the new Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. That's a scheduled loss, by the way.
Yes.
That's a scheduled loss if I've ever. There's no way they're gonna have the
Yes.
Lions beat the Bills in their home opener with their new stadium. But yeah, with them having a lot of easier games, at least for now. I mean, these teams, you don't know. The Bears were supposed to have an easy schedule last year, and it turned out pretty tough. This roster to me is great. They still have a good young roster filled with all pro talent everywhere. But my biggest concern is going to be the availability of Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. We don't know when Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are coming back. We don't even know if Kirby Joseph is coming back at all. Like, this dude is the biggest mystery on the planet. You don't know where he's at. You don't even know if he's alive. I haven't even heard this dude in an interview in months. And Brian Branch is coming back from an ACL tear. He'll be back probably after the bye week, if I had to guess, which I think this year's week 8. So week 9, I expect
Dang,
them
it's
back
not week 15?
season.
No, I'm just kidding.
It was always week 5. The Lions always had an early bye week, and it pissed me off because they would need it later on the season.
Well, yeah, because that defense turns into a freaking nursing home by week 13.
Dude, it's every
year.
year. It's every single year. And can I please, can I have 1 year where my entire defense is not decimated by injuries?
Hopefully, Aiden Hutchinson's leg doesn't bear wrap himself around another defender's leg this season.
Can the D line stay healthy? our cornerbacks are already going to be bads. So can I at least have them, DJ Reed, who's okay, and then whoever they decide to throw him across, whether it's Keith Abney or Ennis Rakestraw or Roger McCreary, nobody knows. And then you have Avonte Maddox at safety because you're still waiting for your two All-Pro, Pro Bowl level safeties to come back. But this team will live and die by the offensive line. It has been that
Yes.
since Dan Campbell has gotten here, and they've over the years had one of the best offensive lines in football. And last year was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. They had injuries. The only bright spot was Penei Sewell. And now you have a complete turnover where your center who
Juice
you signed,
Scruggs, baby. Let's give me some
I,
Juice Scruggs.
I don't want the juice is not loose. The juice is not
No,
loose.
but you, as you were
Um,
saying, it's probably going to be Seth McLaughlin to start the year anyway.
Seth McLaughlin will start at center. You'll have Tate Ratledge and you'll have Christian Mahogany as your guards, and then you'll have Blake Miller and you'll have Penei Sewell as your
Love me some
tackles.
Blake Miller, by the way.
Um,
We've talked a lot
Blake
about Blake
Miller's
Miller.
been
I
having a
love
great
Blake
camp.
Miller.
He had a really good preseason. I don't have a lot of concerns about him. Do I think he's going to be a star tackle? I don't think so, but I think he's going to be a serviceable to good right tackle, and that's all I can ask for. That's all I need because you have an absolute god playing at left tackle. But the interior is going to be the biggest question mark because Cade Mays is hurt, who was a good center for the Panthers. And now you have Seth McLaughlin, who was a really good center at Ohio State. He won the award for best center in college football in 2024, but then he had a gruesome knee injury. So is he going to be the same? He's had a good camp. He had a good preseason game against the Bengals. Um, but like that's going to be the biggest thing. This team is going to die by the offensive line because they're going to be a good offense. The Lions, for all the chatter about how bad the offensive line was and how weird of an offense they had, they were still top 5 scoring in the NFL. And that was with Dan Campbell calling plays after John Morton got basically fired and put upstairs with Little Tyke's headset on or something because he just wasn't a fit.
Right.
Um, we'll see how Drew Petzing does at offensive coordinator. By all means, I mean he's been all right. He's a Ben Johnson he's like Ben Johnson's best friend is basically he was his best man at Ben Johnson's wedding. So hopefully good things come from that. But then again, Cardinals fans were happy when he left. So
You just
but
wanted bald coordinators is all you wanted. Just a two pair of bald coordinators. All right.
it's and
You wanted Mr. Cleans out there
this
on the
team will live and
sideline.
die by the O line, like I said, and the defensive injuries are going to be my main question. But if this team has a good, healthy-ish season, and the offensive line is serviceable to give Jared Goff some time, and the D line gets after the quarterback, this team can go 13-4. I mean, I believe this team will be good. I believe they'll make the playoffs. If they don't, this is the time when you start to question Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, which is crazy to say after everything they've done for this team in the past couple years. But the expectations are different. These aren't the Lions teams I grew up watching, where I was hoping Matthew Stafford would lead us down the field to win a game, or Calvin Johnson to make a play, or Golden Tate to make a play, or I could go on with all the Lions players. Brandon Pettigrew, all those guys.
Shout out Eric
Um,
Ebron.
Eric Ebron, the guy with glass hands. Um, but I believe this team will be very good. This team has the potential with an easy schedule. It's just going to come down to their execution. It's going to come down to who can stay on the field. So
For sure.
we'll see.
My number one in the NFC North, the Chicago Bears. Repeating, I am predicting a final record of 12-5. Now, I will fully admit, I do believe the floor and ceiling for this franchise compared to Detroit's is much more wider. Because I think at their peak, I think Chicago's ceiling could be as high as 14-3. I do
Oh,
think they could
yeah.
be that good. specifically because of quarterback play in this offense. I think Luther Burden, you mentioned Roma Dunze. I think Luther Burden's in for a serious breakout season. I think we'll see a lot of
A
Colston
lot of
Loveland
options. Yeah.
again this year. I do think the running game is drastically better than what people think. I think DeAndre Swift has really found himself well in Chicago, and I think Kyle Monungai is a very good number 2 as well. I think the offensive line, I know that everyone kind of got shocked with the Drew Dahlman news in the offseason with him
Yeah.
retiring kind of out of nowhere, but they still replaced him, and then they're going to be fine there at center, I believe. I don't have any questions necessarily offensively except who will step up at wide receiver maybe a little bit more this year. Defensively is definitely a question, specifically in the back half. You talked about the safeties. Linebacker, they did replace Tremaine Edmonds with Devin Bush from Cleveland. Now, the thing with Devin Bush is, outside of about a year and a half of football, he's been kind of a bust. And his best days were in Cleveland. So we will have to see if that transpires again. He's getting paid $10 million a season, I think, 3-year, $30 million deal. So we'll see if Devin Bush does translate in Chicago or not. But there's definitely questions defensively. My floor for Chicago would be as low as 7-10. I'd go even lower than you, just because they feel like one of those teams.
7-game difference.
Yeah. I think it's big. I do, because I think at their peak might be the 1 seed in the NFC, depending on what happens out there on the West Coast.
Yeah.
If not, they could finish maybe 3rd or potentially 4th in the NFC North, just because if things go completely wrong, maybe a couple injuries you weren't expecting throughout the season. Who knows? But that's what I have for Chicago. Let's try and quickly go through the rest of the divisions here. Let's go and pivot to the NFC South, the division that I feel like we could go through the quickest because this one sucks. All of them could be 9-8. All of them could be 9-8, but that might be their ceiling.
9-8, 8-9, 9-8. That's
seriously though. Like that's the NFC North in a freaking nutshell, man. I mean NFC South. NFC South in a nutshell. It's just you just never know. You just don't know.
I'll run through mine just 1 through 4 or 4 through 1 real quick since we got to, speed it up a little bit. In last place, I have the Carolina Panthers. Going from first to last, I have them at 6-11. I think their floor is 5-12. I think their peak 9-8. I think except the Saints. The Saints I have it first at 10-7 because I just did that. But it's only one better than 9-8. In third place, I have the Atlanta Falcons at 8-9. Their floor is 7-10, and their ceiling is 9-8. Second, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 9-8. Their floor is 9-8. Their ceiling is 9-8. This team will be 9-8. That's all I gotta say. They will win 9 games. They will lose 8 games.
They might be 8 and hey, they might be 8-9. Okay, all right. They might be 8-9.
8-8-1. There you go. Have a tie in there.
We should throw a tie in there somewhere, huh?
And then in first place, the New Orleans Saints. I have a floor of 6-11, and I have a ceiling of 10-7. I have the Saints reaching their ceiling this season.
I love it. I absolutely love it. For me in dead last, I don't see. I know how good this roster is outside of quarterback, man. If I feel like the last 4 years in a row, everyone's just like the Atlanta Falcons.
Sleeper. Yeah. Like
sleeper team to potentially make the NFC title game.
They do the same thing
a
every
top
year.
5 roster in brackets on paper, because they are on paper a very good roster. Well, defensively might be a bigger question this year. No Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr. suspension of 8 games. You have a pretty decent secondary now. You have the Terrell brothers together. Shout out Avion Terrell and, of course, AJ Terrell, one of the better corners in the league. But, man, it was Tua's job to just lose it away. And here's the thing. It's impossible because it's going to be Michael Penix. Michael Penix will be the starting quarterback to start the year. And
Yes.
I think it should be Michael Penix's job anyway, period. I just think he deserves patience for a dude who's old. He's the one guy I feel like he deserves a little patience here. I don't know how Kevin Stefanski's really going to translate in Atlanta, but I love Bijan Robinson and I love Drake London, and I don't care what anyone says. I love Kyle Pitts. Okay, it's okay to admit that I do love Kyle Pitts.
This is the year Kyle Pitts gets together for fantasy.
This absolutely is, because Kevin
This
Stefanski
is
is
the year.
frothing at the mouth for a guy like Kyle Pitts. This just makes too much sense for Kyle Pitts fantasy lovers out there. I'm predicting them to be last in the NFC South. I have them at 7-10. I have their floor at 5-12, and I have their ceiling 9-8.
Yep. 9-8.
9-8. Third place is Tampa. It is Tampa. Now I will admit I have both my two teams here with the same record, but I feel like tiebreakers or whatnot leans this way. So I have Tampa finishing third at 9-8. Their floor 8-9, ceiling 9-8.
Yep.
But
yeah,
but I think Ruben Bain Jr. is just going to absolutely feast in the NFL, and I think too many people got that wrong. I really do. I don't know why this dude was available at pick 15. I really don't. Everyone needs to question it. I don't care about pterodactyl arms or T-Rex arms or whatever you want to call them.
They said the same thing about Aiden Hutchinson. He has too short of arms, and Aiden Hutchinson's going to be a 14, 15 sack per year guy.
For sure.
He has been. So
second place, Carolina Panthers. As I said, I have the same record, finishing 9-8, but tiebreaker I give to Carolina, finishing in second. Their floor is definitely lower. It is definitely lower because
is Bryce the guy?
One is Bryce the guy. Two, they've been hit with the injury bug defensively. You don't have Nick Scorton, the rookie from last year who had 8 sacks as a rookie and people just kind of forget about, and this year was expected to take a massive jump. You get Jalen Phillips in the offseason, but was $30 million a year too much for a guy for a season and a half to 2 years of production in his 6th or 7th year now in the league? Probably so. Devin Lloyd, you overpaid, but was still a very good one of the best linebackers in the NFL last season. But before then, it was kind of like, okay, is he a bust almost?
Yeah.
So we'll have to see if it translates defensively. But I mean, I still love Derek Brown. I still love J.C. Horn. I think J.C. Horn, without his injury history early on, specifically in his career, people would consider a top 10 corner lock in the NFL right now with his skill set. But will the Tet McMillan show continue this year? Will Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks kind of bounce back because Rico Dowdle took their spot for a year, really, as running back 1? So I have those questions there. Their floor, yeah, it is 5-12 as well. And I'll have their ceiling a little bit more elevated. I'll give their ceiling 10-7 because I do think there is some serious quality there, and I do like Dave Canales, and I like the coaching staff that's put together down there in Carolina. So their ceiling is going to be 10-7. And then number 1 as well as New Orleans. I love me some New Orleans this year. I really do. I think their floor is 8-9. And I think their ceiling is 11-6, but I have them going 10-7. I do think, I know injuries. We have Chris Olave injured already. Yay.
Yep.
Jordan Tyson might miss the first month of football. Yay. But I'm telling you, I am telling you right now, Tyler Shough, I don't care if this dude is 47 years old in his second year in the league. Tyler Shough is a legit quarterback. Watch the tape. Outside of his awful throw at the combine, we all saw that one. Watch the tape. Running back is going to be just fine. Offensive line, I don't think is really a question at all. In fact, they might have one of the best young offensive linemen, period, in Kelvin Banks Jr. I think the defense isn't that much of a question either. I don't think there's a lot of legit questions outside of just availability. And so I know that's maybe the best ability is availability, but I like the Saints a ton this year, as we've previously stated a lot. Let's go to the NFC East real quick.
All right, in last place, I have the Washington Commanders.
Aw, shucks.
I think the Washington Commanders, they're gonna be a wild. They're gonna be like an interesting like wild card team where like they're gonna be either really good or really bad.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
just don't trust his defense. To be honest with you,
Outside
I
of
don't
Stunny
like
Styles.
their defense. I like Sonny, but like they got a lot of question marks, man. Um, and is Brandon Ayuk going to Washington?
No, they signed Stephon Diggs instead. And Brandon Ayuk ain't getting his wish, boy. That ain't
Like
happening
this
anytime
dude
soon.
has just been asking to go to Washington for months. Like, what happened to Ayuk? He was a great receiver, and then everything went to crap when he signed that new contract. Washington's floor for me is 5-12. Their ceiling is 10-7. I have the Commanders at 7-10. Okay, I'll go through real quick. At number 3, I have the New York Giants. Their floor to me is 7-10. Their ceiling is 11-6. I have the Giants at 9-8. Let me go through this real quick.
So many winning
In
records.
second place, I have the Dallas Cowboys. I have their floor at 7-10. I have their ceiling at 12-5. And I have Dallas finishing at 10-7 and in the playoffs. And then finally, in first place, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them a floor of 8-9 and a ceiling of 13-4. And I have Philly finishing 12-5.
You and I, in order, agree with how these teams finish, except the top two, of course. I have Washington in fourth. I have their record of 6-11. And I fully agree with you. I do think there's a part of me that's if Jaden Daniels is healthy, if he can gel offense. I do think this offense takes a step forward as long as Jaden Daniels is healthy. Let me add that because I think the running game is going to be better than it was last year. I do like Antonio Williams, the wide receiver from Clemson, coming into this offense. Terry McLaurin, of course, you now have Stephon Diggs, but who knows? Will he have pink cocaine in a bag again on a boat? We'll have to see.
Mm,
But
yeah.
but I think their floor is also 5-12. I have their ceiling even higher than that. Than what you have. I have it at 11-6, just because I think the offense could be very good with Jane Daniels, man. I think they can. I mean, we saw him when he was healthy. They went to an NFC title game in his rookie year. We hadn't seen a rookie season like what we saw with Jaden Daniels. So, but out of respect for number 5, they get 6 wins this year. So,
Hmm.
out of respect. Number 3 in the NFC East, I have the New York Giants as well. I have a final record for them of 7-10. 7-10. I have a floor for them as well at 5-12, but a ceiling for them even higher at 12-5. Because I know how some people are feeling about the Giants. My issue is the wide receiving core. Malik Neighbors might not play to start the first month or longer potentially. It really scares me with the wide receiving core, but I feel like the running
Yeah.
game is going to be pretty good. I do think a lot of improvements, obviously, at coaching is night and day better than what it had been. Will Jackson Dart be a superstar, or will he just be serviceable? Will Cam Scadaboo take a jump in the running game, or will we see maybe a bit of the same, or will the style of play that he has cause those injury concerns? Defensively, there's a lot to like. There is a lot to like, but who's the odd man out? We've talked about that for a while. Obviously, it feels like it's Kayvon Thibodeau, right? Eventually out the door at some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Maybe during the season, we might see a trade of Kayvon Thibodeau. But Brian Burns is disgusting. Will Arvell Reese pan out because he'll play a true linebacker? It feels like it anyway. He might be like a true linebacker this season for him. Maybe he'll eventually transition in the Micah Parsons role to being a true edge eventually. But there's a lot to like for the Giants. I just feel like they might need a year or two. In second place, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. I have the Eagles finishing 10-7 with a floor of 9-8 and a ceiling of 12-5. It's the Eagles. You can almost count on this team to have a winning record. They have been the most consistent team in this division for quite some time. You could argue the best general manager in all of the sport in Howie Roseman. I just want to see how good Jalen Hurts will be without A.J. Brown. I know some people think he might be even better. I just need to see it happen. I have my doubts specifically at tight end more than anything because I think Dallas Goedert, the age is there. And rumor has it, Eli Stowers has not been good. That's what I've heard. I've heard Eli Stowers has not been good so far coming in, the rookie out of Vanderbilt. And that's what I've heard. And I have a lot of questions at tight end. Wide receiver, I like Mekhi Lemon a ton. I like Devontae Smith a ton. What's that depth like? That's the real question. And defensively, it doesn't matter who. They could put you and I out there. I think we'd probably get 8 to 12 sacks a season just because that's just the Philly way.
They're good. They're very good.
Number one, the team America loves more than any of them, the Dallas Cowboys. I have them winning the NFC East and going 11-6 this season. I have a floor for Dallas, a little bit lower than Philly there at 7-10, but a ceiling at 12-5, and I have them going 11-6. I think this is the year for Dallas to really make their mark. I think Javonte Williams is a very good running back. I think they have a good 1-2 punch at wide receiver with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. Will CeeDee Lamb be better than he was last year? Will George Pickens continue with how good he was, or is there a little bit of drama there because of long-term commitment necessarily or lack thereof to George Pickens? The offensive line is kind of back to being a Dallas Cowboys offensive line. Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Tyler Booker. All these dudes up front. Specifically Tyler Booker. That dude is going to be a nasty guard.
Yeah.
All the Tylers. Defensively, the line is good. It's definitely improved since they decided to, get rid of one of the best in football.
Yeah.
Quinnen Williams. They drafted Malachi Lawrence, a guy who I was pretty high on in the draft, out of Central Florida. You have Rashawn Gary. Of course, the secondary feels like it's a question, but they have Caleb Downs to balance it out just a tad. Let's see if Siobhan Revell, a guy who was maybe supposed to be drafted higher if he didn't get injured the previous season. They have youth at corner that I think can still develop. That is why I'm glad they didn't address it as much as they did this offseason. I know a lot of people kind of doubted the cornerback room, but there's still some young guys there that just need to play. And so I think Dallas, although maybe have a couple questions, it feels like the time for them to grab the NFC East. Let's get and wrap up here with the NFC West.
In last place,
Yikes!
I don't think it comes to anyone's surprise. The Los Angeles Rams. The Arizona Cardinals, I have finishing 1-16. I have them getting a singular win. I have their floor, they're 0-17. This team could easily not win a game. And their ceiling, 5-12. They could get to 5 wins. Arizona is going to be horrific this year. Really, really, really bad. So, yeah.
It's going to be funny when they go 7-10 and everyone's like, wow, this is the greatest coaching job of all time. Mike LaFleur needs a statue in Glendale, Arizona.
After 1 year.
I might as well just jump in real quick because it's Arizona. I think I can jump in for this one. Yeah, they're bad. They're real bad. They are deplorably bad. But I'm nicer than you. They're going 3-14. Okay? They're going 3-14. Their floor, I can't predict a team to not win a game. Okay? We've only seen it twice. And you and I happen to be fans of both those squads. Okay? So only you and I can predict our teams to be winless. Arizona's floor is 1-16, and their ceiling is let's go 6-11. Okay, good. Somehow Jacoby
8-9.
No,
they're winning
no,
8
no.
games.
Somehow 6-11.
Jacoby redemption.
Somehow
Carson
6-11.
Beck.
Jeremiah Love somehow can run on an offensive line that's non-existent. Maybe Marvin Harrison catches 3 more passes than you expected him to drop. Maybe Trey McBride just has like a 1,800-yard receiving season as a tight end just because he's carrying literally the entire state of Arizona on his shoulders. But defense, I'm not going to lie. There's some defensive pieces I really like in Arizona. I think Will Johnson, the Michigan corner, going to be very good. Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. He's going to be a star in the NFL. It's just he plays for Arizona. So that's the biggest issue there. Cody Simon, the Ohio State linebacker. Denzel Burke, he had some flashes and some promise last season as a rookie as well. So there's some pieces I think defensively that I really like, but it's Arizona. All right, let's get back to
Sounds
the
like a lot
regularly
of Big
scheduled
Ten
programming.
guys to me. Um, in third place, I have the San Francisco 49ers. I have their floor at 5-12. I have their ceiling at 12-5, and I have the 49ers finishing 8-9. The 49ers to me are a team that, like, Christian McCaffrey was healthy all last year, so I feel like he has to be hurt this year. Like, it was too
That's
good to
just
be
so bad
true.
to
The
just
dude,
put it on him, man. You just put that electrical substation voodoo devil magic on him, man.
I
That's
mean, that's they
unfortunate.
have that out there. George Kittle's hurt. I mean, Mike Evans is going to be wide receiver one unless it's Ricky Pearsall.
Ricky
Um,
Pearsall's out for the year.
well,
Again.
then yeah,
He's out for the year
then it's Mike
again.
Evans, and Mike Evans. I don't know how this is going to work out for Mike Evans. I just think there's already bad voodoo as it is in San Francisco. He doesn't need any more injuries. Um, I just don't think the Niners are going to be very good. I mean, I think that they're going to they'll win 8 games, because they have talent, like they have pieces. I just don't think they're going to be very good. In second place, I have the Seattle Seahawks, the Super Bowl defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. I have their floor at 9-8, and I have their ceiling at 14-3. And I have the Seattle Seahawks finishing at a record of 11-6. They lost some pieces on that defensive side last year, the corners and the safeties. Seattle's going to be replacing. They signed Terry and Arnold. You have fun with that, man. And to me, it's just like, is Sam Darnold really going to pull this off again? I don't know, man. I just don't see it. But I still think they're going to be good. And I still think they make the playoffs because I like Mike McDonald. I like some of these pieces they have on this team, and I expect a big year from Jadarian Price.
Yes.
And finally, in first place, in probably the NFC, but in the NFC West, the Rams ceiling 14-3, or not ceiling, floor. Their floor is 14-3. Their
That's
ceiling is 17-0.
crazy. Crazy to say.
Barring injuries, of course. Okay, and realistically, I have their floor 12-5, and I have their ceiling 17-0. I have this team finishing 15-2. This roster is perfect, absolutely perfect. There's not a single hole on the Rams roster, and I am fully confident saying this team will be the best in the NFL this year. It's not a hot take; it's just what it is.
It would be an Allen hot take, though.
Yeah, it is an Allen hot take, but I mean, they've built this roster to perfection. The only gripe I would say, if Devontae Adams can stay healthy. Devontae Adams is getting old, and he's their wide receiver too. Will he stay healthy this year?
That, and if Puka stops biting women, I think we would be just fine as well. Yeah, Puka. Let's keep it cordial
We
this
should have
season, okay?
we should have the NFC West. We should have a team finish 0-17 and then 17-0 in the same division.
It could happen. There is a world where this definitely happens. There's a multiverse out there, where this does transpire. The rest of them we fully agree in seeding here. I have San Francisco finishing third in the NFC West. I have them going 9-8. My floor for them is actually going to be even lower than yours at 4-13 because of reasons you stated. With the absolute injury bug that they could get hit with, in San Francisco would miraculously find themselves in like the top 6 of the draft for no reason at all, and they could draft a guy like, I don't know, Jeremiah Smith or whoever they want to. But here's the thing about San Francisco: they're the oldest roster in the NFL, and it's by like a wide margin, wide margin. But my ceiling for them is 10-7 because I just think they would be good enough to make 10-7. I think they will get fairly close to it at 9-8. Second team is also the Seattle Seahawks. I have the Seattle Seahawks this year having a little bit of a comeback down to earth moment, but they still will, I believe, make the postseason. They will be a wild card team. I have them going 10-7. I think that's fairly realistic to predict.
Yep.
I do think their ceiling, of course, could still be pretty high. I think they could go as high as 13-4. I would have their floor right around. I'm kind of debating between that 8 and 9 game. We'll go 8 and 9 as a floor, just because will some of these guys, like I said on our previous episode or 2 episodes ago, we had 35-year-olds play like they were 25 this past season, and it was a big reason why this defense was so good. Outside of the young bucks, there's a lot of young bucks on this defense that I really,
Shout out
of
Leonard
course,
Williams. Yeah.
yeah, he's a young buck for sure. Leonard Williams, but he's like 93 on that defensive line now at this point. But Nick Imanwari, obviously, Josh Jobe in the secondary, young pieces on that defensive line. And the offense, I mean, you have the best wide receiver, you could argue, in the game in Jackson Smith and Jigba right now. Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. It's kind of crazy to say, but we're at that point. And Jadarian Price replacing K9, and you still have Zach Charbonnet there. So there's a lot to like still in Seattle. And of course, number one is the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to be a little bit more frugal. I would have their floor as low as 11-6 because I just think losses do happen. So I need to put the floor there. And ceiling, I would agree at 17-0. But I think they go 14-3, and the Rams will probably be the 1 seed in the NFC.
Watch
And
them just suck.
if the
Like,
Rams,
watch them just suck.
here's the thing I do want to say. Myles Garrett has like yet to practice outside of like the first 3 or 4 days with the Rams. So I think there's potentially a little issue that they're not
Trouble in
talking about.
LA.
Because Myles Garrett must be dealing with something that they don't. Either that or they could just be confident enough and it's like, we don't need this. This guy's just that good. We don't need to have him practice at all. But he was dealing with some kind of soreness, I believe, in his knee or somewhere in his leg that he's been dealing with. And I don't know if it's a lingering issue. Could it be a lingering issue is more of the question I have about Myles Garrett. I mean, we think Aaron Donald's going to play this season at some point, but will it be week 1 or week 5 or maybe back half of the season? Probably. And yeah, you mentioned Devontae Adams as well there. This is a good point in the show. It's been a pretty long show so far. And if you are still here, or if you're just jumping in right now, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and you hit that push notification bell to stay up to date on all new videos. We appreciate all the new subscribers we have on this channel. In the last month, roughly 98% of you who have watched this channel are not subscribed. So we'd greatly appreciate if you would subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you give us a follow and a star rating. Share this with everybody you know. It doesn't matter if you like them. You could completely despise them. But we'd greatly appreciate if you share the love and share the wealth with everyone. And also
Share the
follow
rock.
us on our social media channels, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Ball N Beatz with a Z Media. Spencer, before we get into our first picks of the year, let's just talk a little bit about college football and let's talk a little bit about potential modifications. So we've gone out there and we've done previews of every conference and every team in Division 1 FBS football. Have you changed your mind on some of those predictions? Is there anything that you just want to put out there and say, you know what, maybe this team I think is going to be slightly better than I originally anticipated. Maybe this team isn't going to be as good as I anticipated. Maybe there's a team who I might want to say might be in my conference championship now that I didn't predict before. Is there maybe a player or two that you think that you didn't discuss enough about you think's going to be better?
Honestly, most of mine are going to stay the same, at least for now, because we've done these recently. It's not like we stayed at the beginning of the off season. But the one thing that I will say, and I mentioned this to you earlier today, it might be a little bit of a homer. I think Toledo is going to be really good this year, and I'm starting to get confident in saying that I think they will make the MAC title game. And it's year one under Mike Jacobs, and it's a brand new roster with brand new coordinators. But man, I just like I get so many watching the clips of practices, watching some of these guys film in practice, seeing what I'm hearing out of camp. It's like you just get more and more confidence in some of these players. And I just am starting to feel that they're not the best team in the MAC. That's still Western Michigan. I think they're right there for second. They're right there with Central Michigan. I mean, I truly think the team can win 10 plus games. And it might be a little bit me homer. It might be saying like, oh, you're just because you graduated from there. I think it's valid with what they've brought in and this roster they've constructed. Do I love John Allen Richter? No, I don't. But he's my
Friend of the program.
quarterback. I have to like this guy. So I hope he has a great year for Toledo. I still wanted Braden Atkinson, but hey, at least good for him. He's the starter at Oregon State this year. But I this defense to me just has so many good players. I'm so excited to watch this defense play. I mean, yeah, Andrew Zuck, but the linebackers are going to be so athletic. Safeties are going to be really good. I like where the corners are at, and then with this offense, the running game is going to be really good. I think we have really good wide receivers. Ajante Dabbs is going to have a big year. Offensive line is going to be something I look out for. But like I'm starting to be talked into this team is very, very good. And it's not like I said they were bad to be. I think I had them at fourth in my rankings.
You and I both had them finishing fourth. Yeah.
I would put them at 2. I would put them over Central Michigan. I'd put them over Miami.
Ballsy.
So.
For me, if there was one team I would move in the MAC in my preseason power ratings, it wouldn't be by a lot. I would actually shuffle this team upward by like 1 or 2 spots. And it's not because they, in their first game, will have a person who's a fan or a season ticket holder be their offensive coordinator for their opening drive. It's because I just like the direction this program is headed in. If I could, I would move Akron up, probably to like 8th instead of 10th, where I had them. I think Akron is a more dark horse team to really circle in the MAC. I really do believe that the direction they're headed in, yeah, their schedule outside of the MAC sucks and it's brutal. But I would probably power rate them slightly higher if we were to do this today. Probably put them around 8. Reese Poffenbarger, he's going to be very good. This team is going to be very good. For Akron standards, I should say. One other one that I do want to talk about is in the Big 12. I think Texas Tech, even though I do believe in BYU and Houston, I still think Texas Tech is going to be very good too. It's not necessarily a modification. It's just more so I want to put a little bit more respect on Texas Tech than what I feel like I maybe have given them. Because I do like Will Hammond a lot. And I'm obviously the quarterback situation has slightly changed here, but they have quarterback 2 and Tommy Castellanos coming back to college football. But I do think the defense, I've kind of talked about the fact that I think the defense might not be as good because of no David Bailey, because of no Lee Hunter, because of the losses. I think Austin Romaine from Kansas State coming in to be the new Jacob Rodriguez he's legit. Go watch the film. Adam Trick from Miami of Ohio is going to make a serious impact on that defensive line as well. This isn't necessarily a modification, like I said. It's just more so a belief in Texas Tech is still there.
More. And it's in the ACC.
Cal is not 13.
I am going to have a new number 1 team in the ACC. There's a team better than Miami.
There's a team better than Miami. It's going to be SMU, isn't it?
And it is the Boston College Eagles.
Okay. All right. Yeah, for sure.
Shout out Billy O'Brien.
That he'll be fired by week 5, man. He just
Should have been
will.
fired already.
He just will. All right. Do you actually have a team above Miami? Oh, okay.
Miami's the best team
I
in
was
the
I was gonna
ACC.
say
No,
I didn't think you did, but
no,
I don't know. They haven't won a ACC title game in their history, so you never know.
they have not. They have not.
One more thing, though, legitimately, and it's also not necessarily a modification. It is just maybe I am doubting this team a little bit more than I should doubt them, and I do think the schedule that they have could benefit them greatly, and that's Washington in the Big Ten. With Damon Williams at quarterback, yeah, the running game, I do have my questions because Adam Muhammad left for Cal, who was going to take over for Jonah Coleman. Jonah Coleman, I was a big fan of him coming to the NFL this season. No more Denzel Boston at wide receiver, but you do return some of the depth that they had behind him. Of course, they still hit the transfer portal there too. I think Washington, if they can get a win, a big win on the road, the vast majority of their big games are at home this year. And they always perform better at home. If they get one or two of those games to go their way, and if they're able to win the games that they should win, Washington could legitimately be a spoiler in the playoff. They could be a playoff spoiler team there at the 10th or 11th seed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to predict that. I'm not changing my playoff predictions. I like what I have. But Washington's a team to genuinely circle in the Big Ten as one of those heartbreaker teams that you just did not see before or you should have seen coming. Watch out for the Huskies. And with that, it's time. After months of no football action, we are here. Technically, before this video does come out, this video will come out Saturday morning, before noontime, before the action does start. We have some FCS football on Thursday night. Don't forget about FCS football, okay? I just have to tell you, do not forget about FCS football Thursday night. If you have ESPN Plus or if you have Flow Sports, I sadly don't have Flow Sports, but if you have ESPN Plus, go watch some college football on Thursday night. Make sure you don't forget that action. Spencer, we have 6 games that we're going to predict because why would we predict New Mexico State, Florida State? Why would we predict that?
No, fine.
We already know the Aggies got that locked down in Tallahassee, okay?
Yes, 100%.
First game, we'll start off with the big boy. Dublin, Ireland, 12 p.m. kickoff on ESPN. Sonny Dykes, Jaden Craig, and the TCU Horned Frogs versus Bill Belichick, Billy Edwards Jr., and the North Carolina Tar Heels in Dublin, Ireland. By the way, TCU does have a shamrock through the Horned Frog's mouth on their helmet for this game. So if that doesn't sway how you think this game's going to go already, it probably should. TCU is a 7.5-point favorite currently at the time of this recording as well.
Give me TCU by 1 million. North Carolina's a dumpster fire with Bill Belichick.
I mean, whoever loses this game is probably going to have a 4-8 record or worse. And to be fair with North Carolina, it might be even worse than that.
Also, you can't lose with a shamrock going through the horn or going through the horn frog. That's too tough.
What I got to throw this out here. What if North Carolina just does what they did in the first drive offensively against TCU, but the entire game this time around?
Yeah, that ain't
North
happening.
North Carolina's somehow like 9-3 or 10-2 and like just on the outside of the playoff in November with Billy
Bobby
Edwards Jr.
Petrino. Yeah, no.
I fully agree with you. I am a big Jaden Craig guy. We've talked way early in the offseason about quarterbacks to not forget about. I had made that whole list. Jaden Craig was on that list. Do not forget about Jaden Craig. This dude was exceptional at Harvard. He's going to be exceptional in this offensive system that has changed since what Josh Hoover was there. They have a new offensive coordinator. The offensive play calling is different. So watch out for that for TCU. I have them winning. I have them covering. Shout out the Horned Frogs.
Yep.
Shout out the Horned Frogs. We're going to stay with some teams in the ACC. This game was also supposed to be overseas, but of course no one was buying tickets because who would want to watch college football outside of the United States? Why would we have college football teams travel outside of the United States? Keep games on campus, please. All right, I'll
Yep.
stop that little rant. NC State at Virginia in Charlottesville. 3:30 kickoff as well on ESPN. The Cavaliers are 4.5-point favorites heading in.
It's actually a sneaky good ACC game. I know we don't
Yes,
think super highly of NC State, but they are one of those teams that every couple years they go 8-4, and they have an up and coming season.
I'm higher on them than
Um,
you are, just a little bit for
yeah,
sure.
but in Virginia is one of those teams who can win the ACC. They are one of those teams. They're not. They're Miami's in a tier of their own, but I would put Virginia behind them with a couple of those like the Louisvilles. And I like Pittsburgh, so I have Pittsburgh in there as well, and a little bit of a homer because of Mason Heichel. But I have Virginia winning this game, but I think it's going to be closer than people think. I think NC State will I think NC State will lose by like 3 points. So I don't think Virginia covers the spread of 4.5, but I think Virginia will win outright.
NC State, Virginia. See, I love what Virginia's got going on right now with Coach Tony Elliott. I think they've got a very good coaching staff that in a year or two might not be in Virginia because they might be at a bigger program, which I know they're in the ACC, but that still will transpire. Now, my biggest question with Virginia is will Bo Prabula match up with what Chandler Morris was last season? Because Chandler Morris was exceptional at quarterback for them.
Yep.
I think there will be a bit of a fall off with what Chandler Morris was and what Bo Prabula will be. Obviously, Bo Prabula was pretty decent for Missouri before he got injured last year, but we know Missouri can't win against any team who's ranked. But with Virginia and NC State here, NC State has a good amount of losses in other spots, like Jacarius Peak to South Carolina. Will he even play to start the year? Doesn't sound like it. At tackle, you do lose Noah Rogers, who is going to be out for most of the season for Alabama at wide receiver. Terrell Anderson as well hit the portal. But they replace guys so well. NC State's always replaced guys so well, but they have the better quarterback in this game easily with CJ Bailey. CJ Bailey, when I had my preseason quarterback prospect rankings, he was just outside at number 11. CJ Bailey is one of the better dual threat guys. He's 6'6. He's a massive human being. I'm going with NC State outright. Give me the Wolfpack on the road in Charlottesville to get a win, even though I power rate Virginia ahead of them. Even though I still think Virginia can finish ahead of them, I think in week 1, or week 0, that is, I think NC State can get a win against the Cavaliers.
It's fair. It's going to be a good game.
Next game we're heading to the Fargo Dome. The first ever FBS game for the Bison of North Dakota State as they take on the Gamecocks out of Jacksonville, Alabama, Jacksonville State. 5:30 kickoff on CBS Sports Network. This is a 7-point spread in favor of the Bison.
This is going to be another good game because Jacksonville State is really good.
Yes.
They have a really good squad. I am going to pick North Dakota State just because you can't lose your first FBS game at the Fargo Dome. It's like a sin. But this is going to be a close game. Jacksonville State's going to barely lose this game. So give me North Dakota State. But give me North Dakota State, I should say.
Jacksonville State is my preseason Conference USA champion to repeat as conference champions this season. I do think the Gamecocks will be very, very good this year, but I am in full agreement with you. I don't see a world where the Bison, in their first ever FBS game at home, it's like a layup. It is like a layup
You have to win.
for them to win this game. I agree with you. I do think the Gamecocks will also cover the spread as well. And potentially, Chip Kelly, who's going to be on the call of this game, not Chip Kelly. Why did I say Chip Kelly? Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly is going to be on call of this game, and maybe he's just game planning for his next team he's going to be coaching in 2027. Who knows? Will we
He's
see
going to be the
Brian
next
Kelly
Bison coach.
officially be coaching in the Fargo Dome next season?
That would be hilarious.
Time will tell. Spencer, I know this game's near and dear to your heart. Hopefully you have ACC network where you live. Hawaii, as some locals would call it, at Stanford, 7 p.m. kickoff on ACC network. Let me just repeat what I said. Hawaii at Stanford on ACC network.
The Atlantic Coast Conference, yeah.
7 p.m. kickoff. Stanford is 4-point favorites heading into the game.
Yeah, no, Stanford is buns. Give me the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors who are making the playoffs this year, baby. They're going to go into Palo Alto and defeat the Cardinal.
See, I would agree with you. And I'm high on Hawaii as well in the Mountain West. I do think they are going to be one of the better teams in conference play this year. But Spencer, you are forgetting about the absolute Spencer heartbreaker that is the quarterback for the Stanford Cardinal this season. You're forgetting about the deliberate Spencer heartbreaker that is the starting quarterback.
Yeah, I forgot he is their starting quarterback.
Davis Warren.
Yeah.
Davis Warren, okay?
He's still in
This
college.
game is quite literally Davis Warren and Tavita Pritchard versus Micah Alejado and vibes. That's what this game is. It is literally just vibes versus just pure prayer and hope.
Oh my.
I'm so sorry to tell you this, but your heart's going to be broken in week 1 because I'm going with Stanford to win. Stanford to slightly cover. Slightly cover. I do think it's a close game. I do think Hawaii's very good. I have Stanford edging out the Rambo Warriors. It's sad to say. It's okay though, brother. We move on to what might be the game of the entire slate, potentially. To Allegiant Stadium we go. Memphis at UNLV. Two juggernauts in their own right, in their own conferences. This game is a 10 p.m. kickoff on Fox. Sad for the Memphis crowd out there. 10 p.m. kickoff on Fox. The Runnin' Rebels are a 6-point favorite heading into this game. Now, both of these squads have quarterback questions necessarily heading into the game. Who is the starting quarterback? We might know who it is for Memphis. UNLV is a much deeper question. And I know you're high on UNLV. You have them in the playoff. I think I might know where you head in this game, but it's definitely a bigger question for both sides than we think.
Yeah, I am taking UNLV. But I know that they're still deciding their quarterback situation. I just like their roster overall. I think Dan Mullins is doing a great job there. Memphis to me, I mean, this could be the Buckeye Wolverine matchup we were hoping to see quarterbacks wise. We could see Air Nolan versus Alex Orji. What was promised to us that never came to fruition.
It's unfortunate.
But I am going to take UNLV to win this game and cover the spread.
UNLV to me, you know, last year I was a UNLV stan. And I love what Dan Mullins got going out there in Paradise, as they call it, Paradise, Nevada, and in Las Vegas as well. Their quarterback situation really is alerting to me. The fact that Jackson Arnold pretty much had a just shoe in to be their starting quarterback and he could not beat out Alex Orji, that is pretty scary to me.
Yeah.
That does scare me a ton because Calandria, who is now at Nebraska, he was pretty good. He was serviceable out there.
He was very good.
I don't think the quarterback play is going to be as good at UNLV this season. I really am worried. I really am. And with Memphis, we talked about Aaron Nolan. The noise we're hearing is it's going to be Marcus Stokes. Was he West Florida transfer, if I can remember correctly?
I believe so.
I think he's West Florida. He was originally a Florida commit. If you know his story and why he didn't end up at Florida, you have some ball knowledge there. We don't need to discuss that here. But it sounds like he's going to be the one who will be the starting quarterback for Memphis. I do believe Memphis has a defensive advantage in this game compared to UNLV. I think this game's a crapshoot to me. It's an absolute crapshoot. I believe in Charles Huff. I believe in Memphis. I'm going with the Tigers to win this game outright against UNLV in their home field at Allegiant Stadium. Give me the Tigers, man. And put some respect on the city of Memphis. It gets a lot of hate in media right now. If you love Memphis, they love you, okay? So I'm going to give love to Memphis. Go Tigers.
Shout out Memphis.
And to wrap her up, the real game of the weekend here, our beloved Maction. We love Mac around here. I could, if I could get the pirate flag tatted on me, I probably would, and it would stay there for life. But we have the greatest game of all time. Sacramento State, a team in Sacramento, California, is a MAC school for folks who've been living under a rock. As they travel to their first ever conference game to Ypsilanti, Michigan, Rynearson Stadium, Max Crosby Field, to take on Noah Kim, Chris Creighton, and the Eastern Michigan Eagles. 6:30 p.m. kickoff. This is only on ESPN Plus. Eastern Michigan, 10-point favorites heading into it.
This game should have been prime time on ESPN, but they took it away
This should
from
have
us.
been 11:15 p.m. on the CW. I'm just kidding. This game should have been prime time. This should be Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit.
Chris Fowler, live from Ypsilanti. Yeah.
If the MAC wants to call, I think we have a pretty good duo right here who would happily call that game for you.
Oh, I would call that game in a heartbeat. That'd be awesome. I'm not picking a team that's a fake MAC school. Give me the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Sacramento State's not a MAC team, in my opinion. They're a fake team. They're fake news. They don't belong in my conference, and it's a sin that they're in it to begin with. So I'm taking the real MAC squad on the gray turf. We're winning the season opener at Rynearson Field. Let's go.
I do believe Sacramento State will maybe get a win or 2 or 3 throughout the season, specifically because of travel at home. I do think travel will be a serious dilemma for both them and the team traveling out to Sacramento. With them going to Ypsilanti, Michigan, with the same attachment to the fact that I am just pretty high on Eastern Michigan this year, and I think they have a lot of returning pieces I love. One of the better return rates in the country on both sides of the ball. Eastern Michigan wins this game. Eastern Michigan covers this game. Noah Kim, masterclass on Saturday, 6:30 p.m. ESPN Plus. Don't count out the Hornets just randomly somehow pulling off some wacky stuff because it is week 0, and week 0 always brings us wacky surprises.
Yep.
And I do think Sacramento State, like I said, will get a win or 2 that you just maybe didn't think they would because of travel and everything. But I don't know how good they'll really be this year. I have them. You and I both have them in the bottom 3 in the conference this year, and you and I are higher on the Eagles. So as long as Eastern doesn't wear for some reason at home a white jersey with their silver numbers, they should win. And by the way, whoever thought of that as an idea, how dare you? What is that? Imagine for any broadcaster out there who is, 50 yards above them.
Kent State's was worse.
Playing in a night, nah. So
the white, the
as we're
white
ending the show,
and the yellow was so bad.
So we're gonna end our show talking about our broadcasting days. Okay. So for people who don't know, I am a color commentator for high school football right now, and we did color commentating and play-by-play at the University of Toledo for WXUT. Shout out WXUT.
Shout out.
One of our first games, in fact, I think that was our first game together, was the Daquan Finn Masterclass record-setting game, 6 touchdown passes against Kent State. And you're right.
Down 21-0.
Down 21-0 and one.
Gave up 3 touchdowns. What the hell is happening?
What was the final score? It was like 48 to like 20. It was massive. I would have to look up.
Maction. It was Maction.
It was Maction. But Kent State in bright sunlight, white jersey, yellow numbers. What are we doing?
It was terrible.
And I have to bring this up, Spencer, because I'm here locally, of course, still. Clyde High School and Bellevue High School is who I broadcast for. Shout out 92.1 The Wolf in BAS Broadcasting and Digital for hooking me up with that gig. Clyde's jersey numbers were yellow on white jersey. It was rough. It was rough.
Come on, Flyers.
But for me, there was nothing more rougher. That's English. There's nothing rougher than having Eastern Michigan wear their white on silver with lights.
That was so bad.
There
Yeah.
is nothing worse. And whoever designed that, shame on you. Okay? Shame on you. Shame on you. Not silver. I know you like to incorporate the silver and the gray or whatever, but when you're a broadcaster and you're trying to call out players and you're like,
Can't read the numbers.
I can't read anything what's happening, so this is just going to be an Eastern Michigan Eagle. This is going to be an Eagle on the tackle. Or the Eagle catches the ball and the Eagle runs 5 yards up.
The Eagle lands in the nest.
Eagle lands in the nest. And you know what? That's where this Eagle will land in the nest. That's going to wrap up this episode here. Episode 44 of
What
the
a
Scoop and Score
transition.
Football Show, brought to you by Ball N Beatz Media. As I previously stated, keep stumbling over my words. That's how you know we're recording at almost 1 a.m. in the morning. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that push notification bell to stay up to date on all new videos. We appreciate all the new love and new subscribers to our YouTube channel. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you follow and give us a star rating, and go follow us on our social media platforms as well, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Ball N Beatz with a Z Media. For Spencer, I'm Logan. Enjoy the slate. College football is back. NFL football not too long around the corner. Next week, true action, if you will. Week 1 is upon us, and we will break it all down next week for you. We will see you guys next week. Take care, and peace.
Peace out.